Hi, Robin with Oxy-Dry, and I am in my garage again, and I thought it would be interesting to do a little comparison with these two very similar vacuums. These, both the Hoover Hushtone and the Proteam, are the ProForce 1500 XP. These vacuums are both meant for the commercial market, and so they're very similar. They're a sealed vacuum, and they both have a detachable pipe for doing your edges, etc. And I actually have used the Proteam for years. I've gone through probably 4 or 5 of them. I have another one sitting back there, and I have one in pieces here, and I think I've gone through at least 2 others over the years. So that was my primary vacuum for quite a long time, until I switched over to using the Kirby. For a while I've been using the Kirby, and then very recently I switched over to the Hoover Hushtone. And I just want to talk about these two vacuums. They're very similar, but different, a little different approach. The most obvious difference between the two of them is that the Proteam is a 2-motor vacuum. So it has a vacuum motor as well as a motor in the head to spin the brush roll. Whereas the Hoover is a single motor. The vacuum motor also spins the brush roll, so there isn't a separate motor to power the spinning brush. Whether or not one system is better than the other, I really couldn't address that. Both types of vacuums are, many different manufacturers have either the 2-motor system or the single motor system. I mean, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, as far as I know. I don't know that there's any advantage either way. Although, I guess one advantage is that with the Proteam, you can actually switch off the brush roll, whereas with these type of vacuums, unless there's a mechanical device like on my wife's Sanyo, where you flip a lever on the back of the machine and it disengages the belt, the brush roll with these single motor units would always continue to spin. And so what happens is when you lift them up to the upright position, at least in most cases, most of those type of vacuums, it will actually lift the brush roll off the carpet anyway. So that's, I guess, the most obvious difference. So I'm going to go over the Proteam first, and I'll tell you a few things about how it operates and what its features are. It comes with a little crevice tool and this actually, come to think of it, that's actually not the original. There was a dusting brush there. That's not the original one. That's my little invention there. But anyway, it does have like a dusting brush thing that goes there. And I don't think I even have the original one anymore. Probably around somewhere, I suppose. Maybe it's on the other vacuum here. Let me just take a look. I can't remember whether I kept it or chucked it or... No, it's not there. Okay. I probably have it somewhere here. Anyway, it does have a dusting brush that comes with it. It has 2 HEPA filters here. They actually disengage and kind of pop out. They are not washable, so that's something to bear in mind, because the Hoover one is. So there's one on the front as well. And the cord, it has a very nice long cord. I think it's, well, it's probably at least 30 feet or more. Maybe it's 40 feet, I'm not sure. And it has this device spins off, so that you can pull the cord off in one piece. Many times I have had to tighten this thing up because it tends to get loose and falls off. I've had some issues with the bodies of these machines. In fact, this is not the original top chamber for this machine. This machine is actually not that old. It's about a year old, I think. And I had to replace this because a few months ago, oh, by the way, obviously there's the, I'm getting distracted here. This, of course, is the tool for doing your edges, and as you're vacuuming, you would just kind of pop that out and get the edges ready easily. And the hose does disconnect. That comes off very easily. But let me put it back up here. Oh, and let me put it back here for a sec. You just basically push it down with your foot, and on the top of the head there, there's 3 lights. One shows you the brush roll is spinning. One light will light up if the brush roll jams, and there's actually a reset there, so it pops a fuse or whatever, and then you can reset it. And then it's got a full bag indicator light as well. And so that's that. The belt in these vacuums, the Proteam, is a cogged belt. And I have replaced belts on these as well over the years. They do eventually wear out, and not too big a job to replace it, but I'll get to that in a sec. So I wanted to show you what's been going on with these vacuums. I've owned these for years. The hose pops off easily, and to get at the bag, you just push this button right here, and then that flips forward. There's the bag. It is quite a large bag. And now there's a few things about these vacuums. There's a little button right here, and the idea is that when you put the bag in, that activates that micro switch. The theory being that you can't close this thing up and run it without a bag in it. Although apparently that can be done. The fellow that I buy these from, he tells me stories of people that bring their vacuums in and someone forgot to put the bag in, and for whatever reason the switch didn't activate, and they filled it up with dirt or whatever. There's also a micro switch down inside this tube here. This tube slides down inside another tube, and there's a micro switch at the bottom, because the idea is that when you pop this out, it automatically shuts off the brush roll, so that you don't have the brush roll running on the carpet while you're using the edge tool and possibly damaging the carpet. I, in almost every case, have opened these vacuums up and hardwired that switch, because they inevitably fail. That they're notorious for failing, because it's just a little micro switch, and I usually hardwire them and avoid that problem, because once it fails, then your brush roll won't run. So that's a consistent problem with them. The other thing is, I never had thought of this, but you can see there's a foam filter in the bottom here. Let me pull it out. Of course, this you wash. But somebody pointed out one of the comments about the vacuum. You can see the vacuum. I don't know if you can see there's the motor. I'll show you. There's actually a motor sitting over there. I'll show you that in a sec. But anyway, somebody pointed out that when this foam filter goes down into the bottom, it fits down there nice, and it basically covers the whole bottom down there. When the bag, you should try that in place. When the bag goes into the bottom there, and it fills, it can actually press down onto that foam filter and actually kind of seal off the airflow. I never really thought of that, but that actually makes a lot of sense. So that's possibly maybe a bit of a design flaw. Maybe they needed to put some kind of a something there that would sort of lift the bag off of there. I don't know. I'd never thought of that. Now, what has occurred with this vacuum over the years is, and I've had a few of them where what happens is they break down at the bottom here. There's I don't know if you can see that, but there's actually I'll show you in this one. These things right here are what catch on there's like a bumper there, and it snaps into place to hold it in the upright position. I've replaced these things quite a few times, and they are a real pain in the butt when they do break. And eventually, this plastic bumper down here on the bottom of the casing kind of wears out where it no longer will work. And I've had the breakage in here. Mind you, I'm using it every day. I use them every day. But that is a chronic problem. They do last quite a long time, but eventually it seems like inevitably that does occur. This vacuum is about a year old, and a couple of months ago I went to use it, and it wouldn't close properly. And you see how it's kind of binding there. But anyway, what happened is that this whole piece right up here, the whole top of it, all the plastic, it just shattered. And I have no idea how it happened, because I mean, I take good care of my equipment. It doesn't fall over in the van or anything. So this whole thing broke, and I had to replace, pardon me, I had to replace this whole piece, because this is all kind of all together. This is riveted. The hinge is riveted on. So this is actually the upper body of an older machine. And so I replaced that. And then a few weeks ago, I went to pick this thing up, and I lifted right here, and this whole back piece came right off because the plastic all around in here had totally shattered. It was just literally disintegrating. So I epoxied it all back together and then put it back. Now actually, this whole handle arrangement is held on with this big screw, and that's it. There's only one contact point for this, and there's no separate screw at the bottom here. It's just the one. But I had just picked it up, and it just came right off in my hand, and that was a surprise, to say the least. Now the switch up here, it's a vacuum only, off, and then vacuum it in a power head. Okay, power head's not working. Well, that's interesting. Oh, I know why. Because I don't have this in, huh? See, the micro switch is still active in this one. So we'll put it back together to make sure it's working. There we go. The switch, yes. I've replaced the switch a few times too. Probably 3, 4, 5 times I've replaced switches. And the other thing that I've replaced on the vacuum, and I carry a spare one, is this clip right here. I have one sitting in the van. This plastic clip thing for clipping on the hose. Now, I'm not saying I don't like the vacuum, because I know no vacuum is perfect. But those are the issues that I've had with the vacuum. The other issue that I've had with the vacuum is the design of the head, and the design of this tube goes down, and this is the bottom. Obviously, this is where the motor sits. Actually, the motor sits, I'll show you where the motor sits. Motor sits nice and snugly right in there, basically. And that's an amazingly small motor, and it really performs well. Nice power for the size of it. Anyway, and there's the wires here. One of these wires is for that micro switch I mentioned. But what happens is, on the bottom of the vacuum, you've got this hose is where the air is drawn in from the head, and this hose flexes, and it changes direction, and then you can see it kind of shunts it over to the side and comes up. I can't tell you how many times I've had clogs in here, and I carry like a coat hanger kind of a thing to fix that, to get junk out of there, and that happens fairly often. And I'm just noticing that the plastic, if you can see down there, but the plastic holding this bottom thing is broken in there too. And what you can do is you can pull this hose off. It's actually, I'm going to say it's really easy. And just kind of, okay, there we go. And then you can unscrew this kind of a thing. There we go. Oh my, this thing is totally, look at that. That shouldn't do that. See, that's just supposed to be attached. But you can see that the plastic here is broken. And this, oh, there we go. Whoops. Anyway, that's how that works. So I guess that using these vacuums on a regular basis, you run into these issues. If there's a weakness in the system, you're going to find it. So I'll put that over there. Now, one of the greatest problems that you would run into with a vacuum is getting clogs, and this vacuum does clog sometimes. As I mentioned, there's that tube there or whatever, but sometimes you have to get into the head, and here's where the real challenge is, because in order to get into the head of the vacuum, you have to undo these screws. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 screws. Then you undo the screws, and then you drop it over like that, and then the whole top comes off. And if you need to clean out, and if you've been picking up junk and you're clogged up in here, which does happen, that's how you have to get in there, and that's quite a big deal. So those were all the factors that I was bearing in mind when I'm considering when I was looking at the Hoover. And one other thing about this vacuum is that there is no height adjustment. This vacuum just sits at the height that it's preset at, and that's the way that it works. There's no raising and lowering of the brush roll in relation to the carpet. It just floats along. So that's fine for lots of low pile carpet and everything, but being able to adjust the height, I think, is a better option if you're dealing with different heights of carpeting. It does have good power. I'm not complaining about that. I'm not even complaining about the vacuum. I mean, like I said, I don't expect any vacuum to be perfect. But let's compare that now with the Hoover. Okay. Now the Hoover, it has a this device here is actually where you would wrap the cord. You go around there, so, and then you can release that, and then the cord comes off in one piece, so that's handy. That's also a handle right there for picking it up, and it does seem to be attached quite securely. And then we do have a couple of tools. There's a upholstery brush, which I virtually would never use, and the crevice tool sitting right there, which I usually will put on the end of the pipe here when I'm using it. The pipe, of course, just pops off, and it does actually have a considerably longer hose. Now, somebody had made a comment on one of my videos and said about hoses splitting, and that's another thing I forgot to mention. I replaced the hose over the years using the Proteams. I've replaced hoses many times. Usually they do a split, usually right around here, and then I shorten it, and then it splits again eventually, and then I shorten it again, do that 2 or 3 times, and then it gets too short to be useful. And yes, if you got a vacuum with a stretchy hose, you will be dealing with hose splits eventually. It's just inevitable. There's a stress point on these hoses, and something's got to give. So now, so it does have a much longer hose. Let's put that back where it was. And as far as clogs go, let's talk about. Oh, okay. I'll get to there in a sec. Now, this vacuum, unlike the Proteam, which you just kind of push with your foot on the foot of the vacuum to lower it, this one actually has a latch, and I believe, if I remember correctly, that the contact point on that is actually metal. I'm not positive. Let me just double check. I can't see it. But anyway, that's always going to be a point of wear. What I actually do is when I lower the vacuum, I push it forward a bit so that it doesn't have that, it's going to wear, so I anticipate that, so I'm going to try to avoid putting any stress on it by trying to lower it when I'm sort of pulling it back so that it's not going to bind there. That's my idea anyway. It does have HEPA filter. This is a washable filter, and it also has a carbon filter, which obviously isn't washable, but eventually you replace that in a few months, I guess. So that is easy to get at. It is easier to remove than the ones on the Proteam. Not that that's a big deal, but a minor issue, I guess. As far as the bag goes, I think the bag capacity is about the same, but as you can see, it comes off of there very easily, and it's got a secondary filter, which is right there, that's washable, easy to pull out of there. I'll show that again. Just pops it out, and there we go. Oh, no, not quite. There we go. Okay. And the bag, to remove it, you actually would just push this lever right here. It releases those clasps, and the idea is that it will just drop down. Pretty easy. It's what am I, half full there? I'll keep that bag in there for now. I think it looks like it holds about the same amount. Close anyway. And anyway, when it just latches nice and tight. And oh, yes, it doesn't drop down onto the secondary filter. And there's actually, you can see there's a grid there that would keep the bag from sitting on there anyway. So that's probably a better idea, I think. And this does have a mechanical vacuum indicator, which is doesn't have the light like this. The Proteam has the light. This has a simple little spring and a sliding thing there. I can show you that in a minute when I turn it. Well, I'll show you right now. Here, actually, turn it on. Look at that, it went all red. See that? I kind of like the idea of it being such a simple little thing. I understand that. It's a spring, it's a sliding thing. I think in one of my earlier videos, I showed you what that thing looked like, and it's kind of cool, I guess. Now, as far as clogging goes, I don't expect to have a problem at all with the clogging on this vacuum. Oh, I will just show you that their switch, of course, is right there instead of up on the handle. One position is low power. The middle is off. Front is high power. And again, the cord is very long, and it's just kind of like an extension cord. So if you lost your cord or broke your cord, you can just use an extension cord and plug it in, and away you go. That's kind of nice. As far as clogs go, eventually you will end up with something jamming this up a little bit. And so to get at that, you just push this button. That pops off. That turns, and there you go. Isn't that nice? And I can take a look down inside there. It's a little bit of fluff there, no big deal. So to put it back, you just snap, turn it, done. And of course the hose here pops off very easily if you need to clean out the hose, or you need to get into here. Put your finger in there, nothing in there. I can see a little bit of fluff right there. No big deal. Just slide that in place, turn, snap, done. So that's definitely a good idea. Being able to just deal with any clogs or whatever without having to take the screwdriver and pull the vacuum apart, as it were, like that. This is not as user-friendly. That's an issue. Oh, by the way, they weigh about the same, just in case you were wondering. Now, oh, here, one more thing. This does have a height adjustment on it, so it's actually, that's bare floor, and it will do bare floor fine. That one won't unless you just turn off the brush roll and use straight suction. It'll kind of kick debris behind it because of the brush roll spinning so fast. Whereas this, it has a bare floor setting, and it has a little squeegee, and that seems to work really well. I've actually just ran it over the floor behind me. There was some flour there from my other test, and it just sucked it up, no problem at all, in one pass. So it has the bare floor setting, and then it has high traffic setting, commercial carpet. I'm not really sure what the difference is between commercial carpet and high traffic. And then it has a high setting. So let me see. So this is the wheels. You know what's weird is it... Let me try this again. Okay, that's that setting. Oddly enough, it doesn't actually seem to... Oh, wait a minute. Oh, it's not moving it much. Okay. Interesting. Anyway. But I'll have to pull it apart because I do that. So in order to clean out the brush roll, and I used this on a job, obviously yesterday I was using it, pretty small job, and I pre-vacuumed, cleaned the carpet, and then I post-vacuumed with this, and this is what I picked up in the brush roll area. There was no moisture in here at all, even though it was a small enough job that you might think that I might, but I didn't. But anyway, just to show you how easy this is to get at, you just slide that back. You slide these back, and this just pops out like so. And then you can just pull the brush roll off. I'm not going to do it right now, but here's the belt. And the belt, by the way, is it's a bit stretchy, but it actually is fiber reinforced, so that's kind of interesting. It's a little better approach, I think, to have a fiber reinforced belt, actually. Anyway, it's easy to get at, to replace the belt, whatever, no tools required. And this is great. This is it is a better setup than the Proteam. I'll give it that. So we'll just slide that, oops, that, and we're back. So I've got the Berber carpet sitting here. So let's give it a try. This has a brand new bag in it. It's all cleaned out. This has got it's half full. And I'm just kind of curious. Let's do a head-to-head. Now, for this vacuum, because the height doesn't change by lowering it down or whatever, I'll just leave it where it is, and I'll just run it straight up against the Hoover against the Proteam. So we'll do with the power head on, because that's how normally you'd be vacuuming. Actually, I can't. Again, I forgot. Hang on a sec. I'm gonna have to lower it, because otherwise I won't be able to have the brush roll on. So we'll just, that's what I was gonna do. Okay. So this is just a simple indicator of airflow. So turn it on. I'm going to use the Hoover at low power. First off. So the Proteam is doing pretty well. It's winning, at least it appears to be. So now I'll put it to high power. Uh-oh. Well, okay, well let's try switching the bag. I have a bag right here. There we go. This bag actually has been used a little bit. There's a little bit of stuff in here. Yeah, we'll try that. Again, low power. And we'll turn this one on. A lot noisier, eh? That's a lot louder. You want to go to high power? Okay. Proteam is actually going pretty well. Oh. But let's try the larger roll. I've got a larger one here. I'll go back to low power again. Proteam's doing pretty well. Okay, we'll go to high power. I think it's actually a bit crushed here. I'm kind of curious. I just want to take a look at the front here. Okay, I think I can see one of the reasons why the Proteam is putting up such a good fight. And if you take a look, you can see that there are slots along the front here. You can see that. Whereas with the Hoover, there are not. It's a smooth front on it. So that is giving the Proteam an advantage in that it is drawing a lot of air this way, and this one, if it's sitting down on the carpet, it's not going to be doing the same thing. But this will be pulling the air more from the bottom of the carpet than this would. This is more designed. This is actually really designed for a very low pile carpet, actually. And this is a little more variable type of carpeting, I think. So I'm convinced that the Hoover has more airflow. I mean, it does. That's a fact. But the design of the head on different carpets will make a difference. So anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I'm convinced that the Hoovers, I mean, you can just tell by the feel of the vacuum on what's happening on the carpet. It definitely has more power, quite a bit more power actually. But there's a design advantage here when it comes to the paper roll, even though the Hoover was stealing the small one without much trouble when I put it on the high power there, which is what you would normally vacuum at anyway. So anyway, there you go. There's a comparison with these two vacuums. I think that the Hoover, again, is proving to be a superior vacuum in every respect. So I do carry this Proteam. I do carry it in my van. There's certain carpets where it will do better. Certain area rugs, I think. I haven't done it. Haven't compared them yet. I'm looking for a thin rayon or viscose rug where this has an advantage, because I can. What I do is I turn the brush roll on when I move forward, and then turn it off when I move back. And I wouldn't be able to do that with this vacuum. I'm not sure if just putting it on the low power will give me the ability to properly vacuum those viscose rugs or not. But so I'm carrying it. I have the room for it, so I carry it anyway. Carry the Proteam, that is. So anyway, I thought you might, those of you who are interested in vacuums might be interested in this comparison. And if you're thinking of the Hoover Hushtone, I definitely am liking it. I think it is absolutely a superior vacuum in every respect to the Proteam, although the Proteam is a great vacuum. But the issues I've been having with the body falling apart, that's definitely been concerning me in the last year or two, where it just, I don't know if they've changed maybe they've changed the type of plastic they're using. I don't know, but I mean, for it to just be literally falling apart like that is not encouraging. So anyway, there you go. Hope that'll be helpful to all you guys. Okay.